Hey, what's up and welcome back. So today we're going to be taking a look at some crazy clocks. And we're going to start out with this one here. So this is one probably everybody's seen before, but we've got some ones I bet you haven't later on. But yeah, this is just the classic item getting stuck in a cobweb and then coming down and powering the piston, which puts it back up in the cobweb. So if I hit F3 and B, we can see the hitbox is located both over the pressure plate and over the piston. Pretty easy to do with minecart, but you can do it with all sorts of other entities as well. So we'll just turn that one off. Moving on to the next one. This is definitely a new mechanic I haven't seen anybody else do before. Again, we kind of have an item entity crossing across two blocks. One is on this pressure plate, and the other one is a little bit into this block, which puts it on top of the Dripleaf. So when I turn this off, Dripleaf is going to slowly fall once it notices the entity, and then this pressure plate will unpower because this armor stand will no longer be in contact with it, so that adds a little more delay, which will then trigger this observer, which will then trigger the piston to push it back up into place, and then the Dripleaf takes a second again to register that it has something on top of itself, so it'll just keep going over and over like that. And we're using a special mechanic of the Dripleaf that I didn't even know existed, even after reading the patch notes. It just went right by my head, is that when you power a Dripleaf, it will reset to the up position. So you notice when this pressure plate unpowers, it unpowers the redstone on top of the observer here, which then triggers the Dripleaf to reset. Otherwise, it'll take a second to reset, and then we'll be pulsing this up and down, which we don't want. So again, using the same Dripleaf mechanic, we've kind of simplified that a little further, and now what we're doing is we're just glitching this minecart a little bit into this observer so it's over the Dripleaf, and then we're sitting it on a soul sand, which is got a hitbox that's a little bit less than a full block, and that will put it into the hitbox of the Dripleaf. So what this clock does is every so often when this resets, it'll give 3 pulses, 1 when it resets, and then 2 as it changes stages. Yeah, so we got a kind of an interesting clock here that gives 3 pulses every so often. And it's pretty small and fairly slow, so that's a good thing. Then we've got this clock here, which originally just looks like your basic observer clock. When we turn this off and enable it, we can see that the observer clock is powering its own disassembly and reassembly, which I thought was a pretty interesting case here. So if we just power that, kind of step through what's happening here. So when I unpower this, it'll pull this sticky piston down, which then will get a quasi signal from the observer clock above here, which will trigger the top piston, which will be in that position. It'll pull down the observer, right? And then when the observer gets pulled down into this position, it won't be able to power the one that just pulled it down because it'll be facing directly into the face of the piston, and pistons can't be powered from their face, but it will be one transparent block above this bottom piston, so it'll quasi-power that, pushing both of them back up, reassembling the clock. So we'll just watch that again here. See, both pistons are firing. This one pulls the piston down, and then this bottom one pushes it back into place. All right. So next up, we have a favorite of mine, and this is just a cart bouncing clock here. And I get no end of enjoyment out of these things. The fact that this works is just amazing. The only problem with this is you can't really turn it off, because as soon as I turn this off, the cart will fall onto the rail, and then it's bud powered because this is a solid block. Unfortunately, you can't use honey blocks here because they won't actually bounce the cart. So on to the next clock. This is a pretty interesting one that I actually used in a circuit recently. So just starting it there. So this is a butted piston here. And what it does is when it extends, it dispenses or picks up lava. And then the lava slowly flows down the side. And when the lava flows next to the piston, it updates it, causing it to pulse, turning itself on and off. This is actually a really slow clock for a very compact spot. And you can kind of have this lava flow wherever you need to and have other stuff in the way, well, in between while it's working. So yeah, very interesting, very niche, and something I actually used. And that brings us to the seventh and final cursed clock here. And this one, again, I've shown in a previous video and used in a XOR circuit. But what this is a minecart sitting on a powered rail, which keeps it from sliding off, underneath a string with an observer facing into it. And the interesting thing here is that if I zoom in and hover over this string, you can see the hitbox for the string there in black, and you can see the hitbox for the minecart in white, and they are not touching. The minecart is not actually touching the string, yet the string is producing a steady update that the observer is able to detect at, I think this is 10 game ticks. So super weird. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed, and maybe try some of these out, see if you can work them into your circuits, and let me know if you have any favorite clocks of your own. That's it for this video. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.